They might not say it aloud, but you can feel it. When you step into a room, the atmosphere subtly shifts. People's smiles become tighter, laughter dims, and conversations stumble mid-sentence. It's not because you've done anything wrong or because you're being rude or arrogant. The truth is, it's something about you, something they can't quite explain but can't ignore, a powerful, invisible presence. You ask profound questions. You listen with intent, paying close attention. You speak with purpose, your words measured and deliberate. And when you meet someone's gaze, they quickly look away. You've been told you're too serious, too intense, that you overthink things. But what if you're not too much? What if, like Carl Jung believed, your presence is filled with something far more powerful than they can comprehend? An aura, not the mystical kind, but a psychological force, a silent energy that challenges others without the need for words. It's not that people are afraid of you. They are afraid of what you reflect back to them, their own insecurities, their own fears, the masks they've built to protect themselves, and so they retreat. They avoid you. They gossip about you. They shrink themselves to feel more comfortable in your presence, not because you're dangerous, but because your energy is raw and authentic. And honesty, especially in a world built on pretense, is unsettling for those who are used to hiding behind illusions. Carl Jung spent his life studying this phenomenon, the psychic energy that radiates from those who have confronted their shadows and embraced their true selves. This video will uncover 13 signs that your aura might be silently overwhelming to others. Not because you're broken, but because you're rare. And in a world that thrives on comfort, rare energy is something people find intimidating. Most people think of an aura as a spiritual phenomenon, like a glowing field of colors surrounding the body. But Carl Jung saw it as something much deeper, a field of energy. Not the kind you can measure, but the kind you can feel. He believed that every person radiates a subtle yet powerful field of psychic energy, shaped by their thoughts, emotions, and most importantly, their unconscious mind. And this energy speaks long before you open your mouth. It's present in the way you walk into a room, in how people react to you without knowing why, and even in the vibe you carry, sometimes, even in silence. Jung called this influence the unconscious transmission of the self, which originates from parts of you most people ignore or suppress: your shadow, your pain, your truth. The more you face those hidden aspects, the more your energy evolves. You begin to carry a different kind of presence, one that's not shaped by social masks or shallow approval, but by depth, self-awareness, and inner alignment. And people feel it, even if they can't explain it. They sense that you're different. It's in the way your eyes hold emotion, in the calmness of your silence, and in the quiet intensity of your gaze. People often tell you that you're too serious, too intense, and that you overthink things too much. But what if you're not too much? What if, just as Carl Jung believed, your presence isn't overwhelming because you're broken, but because you're rare? Your energy, your aura, carries a psychological force that challenges others in ways they aren't prepared for. Carl Jung dedicated much of his life to studying what he called psychic energy, the energy that radiates from those who have confronted their shadows and embraced their authentic selves. This energy is not something you consciously create. It's an energy that emerges naturally when you align with your true self. It's present in your presence, in the way you carry yourself, and in the way people react to you, even without knowing why. Have you ever noticed how people react to you differently when you walk into a room? You may not say anything, but the entire dynamic shifts. They start to behave differently. They may avoid your gaze, speak less, or become anxious, and you are left wondering why. It's not because you did anything wrong. It's because your aura, your energy, unconsciously triggers them. It brings out something they aren't ready to face. You ask questions that go deeper than the ordinary. You engage in conversations that matter, cutting through the superficial noise that others surround themselves with. When you speak, You don't just talk to fill the space, you speak with the intent to connect. You ask questions that make people think and examine their beliefs, not to challenge them directly, but to make them reflect on their own inner truths. But your intensity makes people uncomfortable. Your words stir emotions and force others to reflect on what they'd rather avoid, their own fears, insecurities, and hidden truths. Because many people aren't ready to confront these parts of themselves, they recoil. They shy away from the depth you bring. They label you as too much because your energy reflects back to them what they haven't yet dealt with. And the truth is, they may not even realize this consciously. They just know that something about you is unsettling. Carl Jung believed that the most powerful people are those who have integrated their shadow, the parts of themselves they've long repressed. Once these individuals have faced their inner darkness, they radiate an energy that triggers others. This energy doesn't require force. It's simply the presence of someone who has faced their own inner chaos and come out the other side stronger. Jung explained that our shadows are the aspects of ourselves we push down, either because we're not proud of them or because they don't align with societal norms. But, Jung emphasized, integrating these parts of ourselves is crucial for personal growth. Those who have done the work of confronting their shadows no longer hide from themselves. They are free from the control of their repressed parts, and this freedom radiates out into the world. Your presence makes others feel exposed. It forces them to confront the aspects of themselves they've spent years running from. When you speak, it's not just your words, it's your energy that makes them rethink their reality. It forces them to ask themselves questions like, why do I feel so uncomfortable around this person? What is it about them that makes me feel like I need to shrink back? For those who aren't ready to face these questions, this can feel like an attack, even though you've done nothing aggressive. But for others, it's a wake-up call. They may not even know why, but your presence is like a mirror to their soul, reflecting the parts of them they've long ignored. Jung argued that this discomfort is not something to be feared. On the contrary, it's the catalyst for growth. When you show up as your true self, you inevitably make others feel the truth of their own situation. This is what makes you so rare. It's not about you being too much. It's about you being real, something that many people are too afraid to be. For many, this kind of energy is overwhelming because it forces them to confront their own shadows. The power of your aura is not in your words, but in your presence. You don't need to force change or try to impose your views on others. The mere fact that you show up authentically challenges them to do the same. And for those who aren't ready to do the inner work, this energy can feel terrifying. It disrupts their comfort zone. It shakes them in ways they didn't expect. People who have not yet confronted their shadows will often label you as intimidating or overwhelming. They might avoid you or misunderstand your intentions because your presence forces them to confront parts of themselves they have long suppressed. But this isn't your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're doing something many people are too afraid to do. You're being real. Carl Jung believed that each of us carries a shadow, the unconscious part of our psyche that we tend to ignore or repress. This shadow consists of everything we deny about ourselves, our flaws, fears, insecurities, and unresolved emotions. The more we refuse to confront it, the more it controls us. And this, Jung argued, is what makes our aura so powerful. When we embrace our shadow and integrate it into our whole self, we radiate a different kind of energy, one that others feel even if they can't quite explain why. You see, people are not afraid of you because you are intimidating. They are afraid because your energy challenges them. You make them feel things they are not ready to feel. You make them look inward when they would rather stay comfortable in their illusions. This is why they might shy away from you or feel uneasy in your presence. They aren't avoiding you. They're avoiding what you force them to face in themselves. But there's a paradox here. The more people retreat, the more you become aligned with your true self. It's a natural process, one that happens when you stop hiding from your own truth. You no longer need external validation to feel worthy. You've stopped seeking approval, and as a result, your energy shifts. It becomes stronger, clearer, and more powerful. You no longer rely on masks to protect you because you've faced your own shadows. The real power is not in speaking loudly or asserting dominance. It's in your ability to be silent, to show up, and simply be who you are. Your authenticity is a magnet for those who are ready to grow, but for those who are not, it's a stark reminder of everything they've buried within themselves. They may reject you or label you as too much because your presence exposes their inner contradictions. They may not even realize it, but they are struggling with the authenticity you embody. When people come into contact with your energy, they are faced with two choices: to resist and stay in their comfortable delusions, or to face their truths and grow. You can't force someone to grow, but by living authentically, you present the option. You become a walking invitation for self-reflection. And this is the most powerful thing you can do. Simply exist as your true self, allowing others to decide whether or not they want to evolve. Jung believed that those who are fully in touch with their inner selves, who have integrated both their light and their shadow, become living contradictions. They become people who challenge the very norms of society. They are the ones who don't need to argue to prove a point. They live their truth, and that truth becomes their message. The intensity of your aura comes from the fact that you are not afraid of being seen as you truly are. You have accepted the darker parts of yourself, the parts that others try to hide, and in doing so, you have transformed them into wisdom. This transformation radiates out from you, and people feel it. Your authenticity is a challenge to everything that is fake and superficial, and this makes your energy both magnetic and intimidating. You don't need to announce that you are different. People feel it without you saying a word. Your calm, your presence, your stillness, these things speak louder than any words you could say. You have become a mirror to others, reflecting back to them the parts of themselves they have long neglected. And for many, this is not something they are ready to face. But the more they withdraw, the more aligned you become. It's not about forcing them to change. It's about showing up as your true self and letting the energy of that authenticity do the work. This is the path of growth, the path of individuation, and it's not an easy one. It requires deep introspection, courage, and a willingness to face your own shadows. But the more you walk this path, the more your aura expands, and the more you begin to radiate a light that can't be ignored. When you begin to walk in your truth, something incredible happens. You stop seeking validation from others. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone anymore. You stop relying on approval, and as a result, your energy shifts. It becomes stronger, more potent, and more undeniable. You no longer bend to social expectations or alter your behavior to fit in. Instead, you begin to live authentically, and that's when the real power shows up. Carl Jung believed that once you embrace your true self, your energy no longer comes from external sources. It comes from within. When you are aligned with who you truly are, you no longer need others to approve of you because your presence speaks for itself. This shift in energy can be unsettling for some, especially those who rely on validation from others to feel secure. But for those who are ready for growth, this is a powerful invitation. Your energy challenges them to confront their own self-doubt, their own fears, and their own insecurities. And this is why people are drawn to you. They may not even realize it, but they are being drawn in by the depth of your authenticity. You represent something they may have long ignored, their own potential for growth. As you continue on this path of self-awareness, your energy becomes more refined. It becomes clearer, stronger, and more distinct. You stop blending in with the crowd and start standing out. Your presence no longer seeks approval or permission. it simply exists. And this creates a magnetic force that others can't help but notice. Your aura becomes a beacon for those who are ready to confront their own shadows and awaken to their true selves. This journey towards self-discovery can be lonely at times. You may feel isolated, misunderstood, and even rejected. But this loneliness is not a punishment. It is a sign of your growth. It is a necessary part of the journey towards individuation. Jung himself went through this process, and it's the same path that leads to personal mastery and the realization of your full potential. Those who are not ready to face their own shadows may see your clarity as a threat. They may feel uncomfortable in your presence because your authenticity forces them to question the masks they've been wearing. Your truth shines a light on the parts of them they have been avoiding. And for many, this reflection is too much to bear. But for those who are ready to embrace the truth, your energy is like a catalyst. It inspires them to take action, to make changes, and to step into the fullness of their own potential. Your presence doesn't just affect them, it awakens them. This is the power of living authentically. It's not about controlling others or forcing them to change. It's about creating the space for others to see themselves. And for those who are ready, that space becomes a place of profound transformation. As you continue to walk in your truth, your energy will become more aligned with your true self. You will no longer feel the need to hide or shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You will no longer apologize for your depth or your authenticity. Instead, you will walk proudly in your own truth, and in doing so, you will continue to inspire and challenge those around you. Your aura is not something that you can measure or explain. It is something that you feel. It's the energy that emanates from you, a force that others can sense even if they don't understand it. And this energy is powerful. It challenges people. It forces them to look inward, and it invites them to awaken to their own truths. For some, this energy will be too much to handle. For others, it will be exactly what they've been waiting for. As you continue walking the path of self-discovery, your aura becomes more refined. The more you embrace your true self, the more you naturally shed the masks you once wore, the ones you used to fit in or gain acceptance. No longer do you feel the need to shrink or hide in the shadow of social expectations. Instead, your energy becomes a beacon for those who are ready to face their truths. But this doesn't mean it's an easy path. In fact, it's often one filled with resistance, not only from others, but from within yourself as well. This is the paradox of living authentically. The more you align with your true self, the more your energy grows. The more you embrace your authenticity, the more powerful your presence becomes. And yet, the very people who aren't ready to face their own truth will be repelled by it. It's not that they are afraid of you personally, but rather, they are afraid of the reflection you show them. When you stop pretending, you force others to do the same, or at least confront the parts of themselves they've been running from. And this can be incredibly uncomfortable for them. But here's the thing. It's not your job to make them comfortable. Your job is to show up as your true self and allow others the opportunity to grow. The more you become aligned with your inner truth, the more you realize that it's not about forcing anyone else to change. It's about living in such a way that your mere existence challenges the illusions others hold. This is what makes your aura so potent. It doesn't rely on dominance or loudness. It's simply the undeniable force of your presence, rooted in authenticity and self-awareness. Carl Jung taught that true power comes not from forcing others to accept our point of view, but from being able to embody inner sovereignty. When you walk in your truth, you become your own ruler. You are no longer controlled by the judgments of others, and that's a powerful state to be in. This sovereignty, however, is not something that is achieved overnight. It's the result of a continuous process of self-reflection, acceptance, and integration of the parts of yourself that were once suppressed. Jung's concept of the self is crucial here. To live fully, you must embrace not just the light within you, but also the dark, the parts of yourself that others might find uncomfortable or even repulsive. When you integrate these parts of yourself, you become whole. You stop seeking approval because you no longer feel incomplete. The energy that you radiate from this place of wholeness is undeniable, and that's why people are drawn to you, or, at times, pushed away by the intensity of it. But the truth is, your presence is a gift. You bring people face to face with themselves, and in doing so, you help them see the possibility for growth. Not everyone will appreciate this, but for those who are ready to face their own shadows, your energy becomes a powerful tool for transformation. It becomes a mirror they didn't know they needed.